Hey everybody, welcome to Your Beautiful Table, a YouTube channel and a website all about helping you make your tabletops beautiful. And today we're going to talk about how to make an Ivy Topiary. Stay tuned. Thanks everybody for coming on back. If you're new to Your Beautiful Table, we're a YouTube channel and a website at yourbeautifultable.com all about helping you make your tabletops beautiful. We talk about china, glassware, home fragrance, candles, those kinds of things. So if you like that kind of content, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you, and also consider signing up for the newsletter. That's how I do giveaways. I don't spam you, I promise, but the newsletter link is in the description box below. Well, recently I saw a local decorator shop. They do antiques and a variety of things. It doesn't really matter, but I saw that they had topiaries. They were using angel vine topiaries in a pyramid shape, so sort of a conical triangle pyramid obelisk kind of shape, and they were $75. And I was like, that's a lot of money, and we can make them ourselves. So the thing about topiaries is they come in a lot of different designs, and they look really cool when they're placed on a table, and they can make great, I'm doing like this because it's for the ends of your fireplace. Mantle, that's what I'm looking for your mantle, for a tabletop. They can go high end and sort of be really very fancy and sort of have that English garden feel, or you can bring them back down. They sort of, in a more casual environment, they fit everywhere. The only trick is it takes a minute for them to grow and be like, you gotta like invest time in them, and that's the thing that you're paying for when you buy an expensive topiary. So it's not that it's hard to do, and it's not that that the materials themselves are very expensive. It's the labor and time that it takes for a gardener or a greenhouse to grow and shape it. And so it just looks like a green plant when you buy it, and you're like, why is this so expensive? But there really is time, energy, and money spent in making that topiary. So $75, completely reasonable, but I'm a cheapskate, and I'm like, I can do that myself. So I wanted to share with you how you can make it yourself. So also in the description box, I'll link to another topiary video that I made where I used an angel vine or a wire vine and a coat hanger to make a hoop topiary, which is still going strong, and that I really love. I like that angel vine topiary. But so a few materials that you're going to need. You're going to need an ivy plant. You're going to need a pot. You probably need some potting soil, and you might need something for the topiary to grow on. So what I have used or I'm going to use, are these stakes that came out of orchids. So when you buy an orchid at the store, the bloom is often staked, and it has those little clips, or maybe even like rubberized wire that twists the orchid stem to the stake, and that helps keep it upright and not flop over. So I keep these because I think they're pretty handy. So I'll just bring them up. They have like a pointed end. It may be hard to see, so I'll stand in front. So they have a point end, and I guess they're like 24 inches or maybe a foot and a half, 18 inches tall. So if you wanted to, depending on the size of your pot and how tall you wanted, you could trim these down, but I'm going to use them in their full length. I did a little bit of measuring beforehand, and I want to use them, or try to use them, in the full length. Now, I will say, caveat here, I haven't done this all the way. I sort of tested it the other day, but I didn't completely do it. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. These are already painted green, which will be a good foil, and they'll camouflage once. But if you have ones that are more natural color, you can decide. So if you don't like them, the natural color or the way that they come, sometimes they're plastic and black. It's great to reuse. The plastic black might be a little bit harder to cut if you need to cut them. But these are wood. I just pull them out when the orchid goes, and then I keep them for just this kind of purposes. Also great for staking other plants and a variety of uses. So reuse, so you don't have to buy new stuff. So let's talk about a couple of things. So one is, where did I get the plant? So you can buy an ivy plant. I've had this one for years and years. It actually grows and is on my mantle, and so that's why one of the sides isn't as full and lush, because I sort of face it this way. Y'all, I'm going to bring this around. I'm a little embarrassed, but this is a silver plate ice bucket. It needs to be polished, and it's not very clean, but I use it to hold this topiary. So you can go ahead and buy a green ivy plant that has long tendrils like this. If you want to make a topiary, that's one of the options. The topiary I want to make today, the scale is a little bit smaller, and so the size of these leaves, which are pretty big, they're like an inch across, the size of the leaves are not appropriate really for the size of topiary that I want. You want to match the size of the plant leaf to the size of the topiary that you're making. This would be good for an outdoor climbing on a wire trellis or something that was more robust. The size of the leaves would be more appropriate. And it looks great as a house plant just on the mantle. And so because these tendrils kind of go out on the fireplace mantle like that, so the scale is really good for that. But climbing on a topiary this size, the scale wasn't right. But I wanted to use this as an example. So if you go to the garden center and you find a topiary, you want to match the size of the leaves to the size of the topiary so the scale looks right. But this was a good example. So if you want to, one of the cool things about ivy is that it will propagate itself. So all you got to do to root ivy, you can almost see some aerial roots that are forming here. I'll put it in front of my shirt, but there are aerial roots right near my finger. All you have to do is snip this and then take the leaves off that are going to go into the water. And in a few weeks, even without rooting hormone, the ivy will have nice long roots. So I find that these make fun tabletop decorations if you're rooting ivy. And so one of the things that you might want to consider if you root ivy is a vase like this. So this is an etched vase. It has a sterling base. I also need to polish this one. But you can find these, I think, anywhere between $10, $18 or something like that at antique stores or thrift stores, consignment sometimes. But this bud vase is a great way. You put a couple of stems of ivy in there, let it trail over, and then you can see the roots growing, and you'll know when it's time to transplant into soil. Sometimes people transplant ivy into soil. If you want to do that, you can just get a pot, put the ivy into the soil, keep it moist. Sometimes folks put a plastic bag over it to keep it nice and moist, but I have used the water rooting method to good success, and you can kind of keep an eye on it. You just want to every day or so make sure that there's enough water, change the water out if it's becoming a little bit murky, so that fresh water will stay in there. The only trick to these kind of vases is cleaning them because you can't get down, but bottle brushes work really well. So you can just buy a bottle brush and get down in there. But they're cute bud vases for bedside tables, so when guests come, powder rooms, those kinds of things. So if you see these, pick them up. They're really, really great. So I'll share with you that, maybe last summer I trimmed some ivy, and you can see what I mean in terms of the scale. These leaves are much smaller than the ivy that I have on my mantle, but some of them are getting a little bit bigger. But the leaves are a little bit smaller, and I took this and did the trimming, rooted them, and put them in this clay pot. And so there are 3 stems here, so 1, 2, 3 stems, and that's going to be really convenient because I'm going to use them on my 3 stakes. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully everybody can see this. I know it's sort of down here a little bit low, but I'm going to place the stakes, making them into on 3 different places in the pot, sort of spreading them out so that they're like shaped like a triangle, one at each point of the triangle. And so you can see that, let's see, they're sort of there. Now, because the clay pot is slanted like that, they sort of stick out. But I did this yesterday, and I can bring them up to an apex like this. And so what I'm going to do is, I have a rubber band somewhere. It took a second for me to find my rubber band, but I have a rubber band, and I'm going to bring these together and just finagle them with the rubber band. So I'm going to, just twist and bring it over, twist and bring it over, twist and bring it over, twist and bring it over. And I'm just tightening the rubber band as I go to hold it nice and stable like that. Now, that actually doesn't look too bad, just with the rubber band. So one option would be, you could use a permanent marker and color the rubber band and sort of make it that green color, the way that you know, to match the color of the stakes, you could camouflage it. And so I have a little bit of twine that's over wire. So there's the wire end, and there's twine that's over wire. And I thought it might look fun to just camouflage this with this twine. So I'm just going to wrap the twine around because it's got a, I don't know, it looks a little bit better like that. So let me bring this up to the camera so you can kind of see how I've done the top there, camouflage the rubber band, and you can see the topiary stakes. And so it makes this fun sort of pyramid shape. And then all I'm going to do is take the ivy and gently lace it through and twist it up. Being careful not to, you know, push or damage the leaves, although the ivy is, you know, pretty resilient, but I don't want to damage the baby leaves if I can avoid it. And so it may be that, you know, the excuse me, the ivy might be a little bit resistant because it's excuse me, not used to going up the post or these little sticks. But in a few days, it will loop back around and it will go right on up. So it just takes a few days. But voila! I'm pretty pleased. So here you have like a pyramid topiary. I have very little money invested in this, and I've reused the orchid pieces, and in a couple of days, the leaves will readjust and will flesh out and look a little bit more normalized. But now I've got this cute ivy topiary that's a perfect scale for a tabletop, and you know, make a couple of these and you can put them on the ends of your mantle or in different parts of the dining table. I love a clay pot because of the way that it has a patina and shows its age there. So this was a great tool. So I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. So you know, if you've got a little bit of a green thumb, you don't have to have a lot of a green thumb, but you can, you know, take some trimmings from an ivy plant, let them root, put them in here, and it'll be a fun project. DIY ivy topiary. Thanks, friends, for watching. If you've enjoyed this if you've enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. We're really glad that you joined. Have a great day. See you next time.